Hello guys, and welcome to video number 8. We're coming now to the end of this program. This being our second last video. We're coming right down to the end of it, so I hope you guys are learning lots. I see that I'm still having lots of great interactions with you guys. You guys are still asking lots of amazing questions, which is fantastic. I'm so happy to see how many of you are still asking questions, still working hard to get to all of the things that you're curious about and all the things that you want to learn about. You're going out there and trying to find it, and you're all trying and you're all interacting, which is amazing. So thank you guys. Thank you for being along here in this ride. I'm happy that I can share this with you and that we can all learn together. And now we're coming to the end of it, which is sad, but is also happy. Today, last week we looked at Microsoft Word, the basics of Microsoft Word. So we looked at a little bit of what you can't do, and all the great templates that come with Microsoft Word when it comes to documents and things that you might be looking to get done. This week we are looking at, by popular request, because a lot of you guys really wanted me to cover this, is the basics of PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint, which is awesome. Again, it's another amazing tool. I know that a lot of you guys had questions regarding, when or where you might use Microsoft PowerPoint. Some of you are saying because you also want to be able to help your kids as they go through school. Some of you have kids in grade school, middle school, high school, so you want to know what you can do to help them, or if they have a question, you want to be able to help them as well, which is fantastic. PowerPoint really is a great tool for any kind of presentation. That is what PowerPoint is all about: creating a presentation and creating a good presentation that's going to be able to get your point across. For those of you that are interested in that maybe, I know some of you are mentioning that in previous jobs you were asked to use PowerPoint, but you were unsure, or you had help from other coworkers, so you want to be able to learn yourself how to do that. I think it's fantastic. PowerPoint, more than anything, is exactly that. Like I said, a presentation tool. The one thing that I can the tips that I've learned, mainly through school and through life experiences, is keep your presentation. Don't put too much wording on it. Keep it very simple, just points. You want people to be able to see the presentation, but pay attention to you more than anything. You don't want them reading off of your presentation, because then they won't listen to what you're saying. So you want just very brief points, and you want to be able to have the rest either memorized or on cue cards or on your notes, and that's going to help create a very efficient and a very good presentation. But with that being said, let's get into PowerPoint. So as soon as you open up PowerPoint, this is what you guys will see. And very much like Microsoft Word, these are all templates, which are awesome. There's a lot of great templates on here, depending on what it is that you're looking to create, what kind of presentation you're looking to make, which is awesome. You can use your own. You can just start from a blank presentation and use your own images, use your own words, use your own text, use everything your own, if you have an idea of what you want to create. Now, if you're not 100% sure, but you know what kind of presentation you want to create, you can always look for it here, or just start with any of these. So, for example, if we're creating a presentation that has to do with finance or numbers, maybe you do something like this, right? You look at this and you think, oh, this looks okay. So let's start with something like this. So we're going to go ahead and hit create. Okay, we're having a bit of a connection issue there. So let's look at, we're going to say finance. Whoops. So we're going to say finance right here. We're going to search and see what comes up. So you guys will see that depending on what you've looked up, you'll get different results. So for this, for example, this one says financial pitch. So we can say we want to make use of this one. So we're going to click create. And you guys will always be able to have control over everything. So it doesn't matter which template you pick. you can change absolutely everything about it. You know, from the color to the words to the pictures in the background, you can change absolutely everything, okay? So the first thing you guys will see in PowerPoint will be this. If you use a template, you will have this. If you don't use a template, you will have just at the number 1, this little square, and it'll be totally white and blank, ready for you to do what you need to do with it. I suggest starting with templates because it'll make your life a little bit easier. At least even if you keep just some of the elements of the presentation, you can change the pictures, you can change the words, but maybe, you know, you look at this and you say, you know what, I really like this screen and I like these yellow lines here, but I don't like anything else. Okay, perfect, not a problem. We can get rid of the words. We can get rid of all the words here. Say, oh, you know, even this I don't like. I don't like this. We'll get rid of the picture. Whoops. Oh, it's not letting me change the picture. Why is it not letting me change the picture? Oh, format background. There we go. Okay, it's not letting me change the picture right now. But you can change the picture. You can change the picture. You can add another one. Actually, I believe if we go into Insert and we look at pictures, we'll do the same as we did in Word. We'll just look up hockey. And we will go ahead and add whichever picture we want to use. So, for example, if we want to use this as our background, we should be able to insert it. And if you right-click on it, so right now it's just sitting right in front of our slide, which we don't want it to be in front of our slide. We want it to be in the back, just like those buildings. So we can actually take that picture, and we're going to make it the size of our presentation. And then if you right-click on that picture, you can send right here where it says send to back. So we're going to send to back. And we're going to do it one more time. We're going to say send backwards. Send to back. So what will happen is all of the other elements of the slide will come forward. So all of a sudden, this is our new background, and we got rid of those buildings. If for whatever reason you ever make a mistake, or you think this is not what you want to do, we can always undo, which is at the very top left corner of your screen, or if you use Control Z to undo anything that you've done. So we can get rid of everything and bring it right back to how we first started. Now, the other thing with PowerPoint is depending on what it is that you guys are preparing, or what it is that you guys are going to be working on as you go through your slides. So you'll see right here on the left-hand side, this whole stack of slides. This is all of your information. This is everything that you're going to be presenting. And the one thing to pay attention to is as you go up and down, the numbers just simply mean that is the order which the slides will come in. So as you're presenting, or as you're getting ready to present, this is the order in which they will appear. So with this template, you guys are seeing that you get a lot of different content. You get some graphs, you get a lot of different text. Now, this is all text that you would have to replace with your own. And as you're working through it, you'll be able to do that as you're working through the template itself. If there's anything that you don't need, or if there's an entire slide that you're not going to use, or it's too long. So in this case, we have 27 slides. So if there's anything that you're not going to use, or anything that you don't find particularly useful, you can actually get rid of the entire slide just by clicking on it and then left click. And then you can just select delete slide. So that'll take it right out of there, and it'll bring the next one up, right? So now this one is number 6. If you're ever working on your presentation and you see that a slide is out of place, you're thinking, you know what, this should be, number 3. You can always just left click, and then hold down that left click and drag that slide to where you want it, right? So if we want it right here, now this slide is number 3, and then this one is number 4. So this panel right here will just give you a lot of control over, very generally, all the slides and their position where you want them. Now, if, for example, you like all these, you're happy with every single slide on here, you don't want to change anything, but you need a new one, just click on the slide that it's supposed to come after. So if I want to add a slide between number 4 and number 5, I'll click on number 4. I will go up here and click new slide. And that'll give me a whole new slide between 4 and 5, which now this one is number 5. So this is where you can go ahead and add any pictures, any text, anything you'd like to add here, you can do so. Now, if you like the style of one of these slides, right, because we're using a template, and you say, you know what, I really like this one. I like how they have the picture here. I like how they have the words on this side. I need something exactly like that, but I just need a copy. So again, very simple. We're using a lot of what we learned with Microsoft Word, and we're using a lot of what we learned in videos 1 and 2. So we're going to go ahead and right click, and we're going to say duplicate slide. So right here it says duplicate slide. And we have 2 that are exactly the same. So obviously we're going to want to move that, maybe we want that towards the end, but we have a slide that is exactly the same. You can always change the picture, you can change some of the wording, but the actual template of it will be exactly the same, right? So you'll have the picture on this side with your words on the right, and the number on the bottom corner. So those are just some of the basic things that you can do once you have your slides in place. Again, this is more so if you're using a template, but even if you're using blank slides, as you go through and you're adding more content and you're adding more information, that'll be a good way to keep you organized. Or if you need to go ahead and organize your slides in any other way, that will work as well. I'm sure, as you guys can see, a lot of these panels up here are very similar to what we saw in Microsoft Word. So they don't really change too much. Here's your font section, right, which is going to be exactly the same as Microsoft Word. Here is paragraph section, which again is pretty much exactly the same as Microsoft Word. And then this is something that's a little bit new, which is drawing. And the reason they have this in place is because as you're working on a presentation, maybe it's supposed to be a little more artistic, a little more creative in that way, depending on what it is that you're presenting. So for example, if you wanted to put an arrow pointing to solution, you can choose the arrow and left click and hold down, and you'll be able to put an arrow there, right? So it's just all about being creative and getting creative with your presentation, but it's just another one of the options you have there. And I'm not going to go too in depth into any of these, just because they are a little bit more advanced. And we can try and cover them later down the road if we wanted to, but for now I'm just gonna cover the basics of it. So once we've added everything that we needed to, if you ever see, or if there's anything that you want to add, additionally, if you go into the Insert tab, very much like with Word, you guys will see it's almost exactly the same. A few things change. You still have the table option, which is exactly the same as Word. You have the images option, which is exactly the same as Word. I believe there's 1 or 2 things that are missing. You have illustrations, same as Word. Add-ins, which, like I mentioned, you guys won't be using. Links, you may use hyperlink, but again, with a presentation, you probably won't be using links. Comments, which again is an advanced feature when you're working with a partner or working with somebody else at the same time, and maybe they're asking you to, give them some feedback on the presentation. Text is going to be pretty much the same as what we saw in Word. The only difference is that with PowerPoint, you have to use text boxes to add any text to your slide or your presentation, whereas with Word, you can just click on the document and start typing away. So there's a lot of information that you can insert right into your slide, which is fantastic. A lot of the times you might find you will have to add video or audio depending on what it is you're presenting. So this little section right here is going to be very useful, which is under media, in case you do have to add anything like that. The only other thing that I could suggest, which is just another one of the basics, is transitions. It makes it look very clean. It makes it look very professional. Makes it look like a little bit more of a video, if you will, to add transitions between your slides. And it's very, very simple to do, as long as you're not getting crazy with it. If you choose one, I would stick with one. So fade is one that is, I think, probably the most common one that's used with presentations. So you can actually just between slides, right? So if I wanted to go from this one to this one, I'll hit fade. This one I'll click fade. So as you select the slide, you can select what type of transition you would like. See, some of them look a little bit nicer than others depending on what the presentation that you're working on is supposed to look like. So just, it's something that, again, PowerPoint really wants you to be creative, wants to allow you to be creative with your presentations, and that's where these tools will come into play. That's about it for PowerPoint. I don't want to overload you guys with information. I think as long as I give you the basics, this is good enough to get you started with being able to create a presentation of your own, add a couple of transitions, add some text, some pictures, and that will be the basis of helping you understand how PowerPoint works. I think, as always, like I mentioned to you guys, play around with it, have fun, don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think the more that you play around with these tools, the more that you play around with any of this technology, you're going to get better and better. And especially if you're having fun doing it, you're not going to forget what you're learning. That's going to be it for video number 8. On my next video, we're going to get a little bit more away from software and more into what's called hardware. If you guys remember, we talked about it in videos 1 and 2. So we're going to look at how to add, set up, or troubleshoot a printer. I know that initially you guys were asking about something like that. I know everybody has a printer or tries to own a printer or has owned a printer at one point, and they can be a little frustrating to set up. So we're going to take a look at how to troubleshoot, how to add, and how to set up a printer. With that, we'll also look a little bit at additional things that you can add to your computer. Things like if you buy maybe a wireless keyboard or mouse, how to add that as a device in case you're having trouble. As always, guys, if you have any questions, please email me or contact me. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions, and we'll see you next week.